game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong, or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called, or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
Devastating loss to Georgia Tech, where they made significant coaching errors, but Miami, with all of these changes, obviously looking to churn over this roster and upgrade the talent level.
Don't sleep on Rick Pitino. Listen, at the end of the day, the portal is the portal, Mike. Don't matter where you came from, it's where you're going and how much money can you get.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for, so I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast.
It's Ferrall Coast to Coast in the biggest way possible right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty. Cam Stewart's going to join me momentarily. Hope everybody had a very safe, happy, and healthy holiday weekend. Good to have you back here with us on C2C as we have a very busy show for you today, as we always do, let's be honest. First hour, Gabe Morency will be with us, as he is every day on C2C. We'll get ready for tonight's action. Smiley Kaufman, of course, the Smiley Show, right here on SportsGrid. We get ready. The PGA Tour going up to Canada, up to Cam's neck of the woods in Hamilton here this week for the RBC Canadian Open. We have Coach Young with his picks for tonight on the Lion's Share. Davis Maddock will be with us. Adam Kaplan, our SportsGrid NFL insider, as teams are finishing up OTAs this week. So a lot going on. That is for sure. As I mentioned, usually Joe with me on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on C2C. Not today. Joe out on assignment. So what does that mean? The Prime Minister in the house, Cam Stewart, on Coast to Coast with me today. Hi, Cam. How are you?
Hey, happy Memorial Day to all my friends from the United States. I hope you had a great day, great party. Carver, always a pleasure. It's Canadian week now with on the link, so we'll have some good times. Full picks tomorrow, but lots of fun. Great hockey action last night and baseball, buddy. I hope you had a great Memorial Day with the fam.
Yes, the kids didn't drive me completely nuts over the last few days. So now we are back and we are good to go here with a fresh week on Coast to Coast. And you're right, Cam. We have obviously the NBA and the NHL playoffs. And this is the part that gets kind of tough, right, Cam? It's starting to wind down. It's really winding down now. You know, you're down to 4 teams in the hockey. Thankfully, those series look like they're going to have some distance. NBA's down to 3 teams. You had 1 sweep in the East. You might have a sweep tonight in the West. And can you believe they're going to go, 9 days if Dallas wins tonight without playing game 1 of the NBA Finals? Because they're locked in. It's next Thursday, June the 6th. But this is the part, Cam, where you can see the light at the end of the tunnel for the winter sports. I guess the good thing is, Cam, that means we're just a little bit closer to football, right?
Yep, that's the best. Yeah, you know, I'm going to hate it when hockey's over and basketball's over. We'll still have some golf, a couple majors at the end of the summer, Carver. But the happiest guy at SportsGrid, Dave Sherapan. He lives for women's softball and baseball. We love the sport, but I like when the whole board's busy. I'm even a WNBA guy. We got that. So, Carver, we're going to have to dip our beaks into many different summer sports, whatever. Green, money's green. In Canada, it's many different colors. Let's make some.
It's funny, Cam, you say that because later on Coast to Coast, I actually have some interesting WNBA numbers for you heading into tonight's action. I come prepared with everything, Cam, especially as I said when we get to this time of the year. You come prepared for everything. As far as the hoops goes, we'll talk about last night. The Celtics they smashed the Pacers. You can't even say smash, Cam. The weird thing is that the Pacers had and this is for the charts and graphs crowd, a 90+% win probability in the fourth quarter of 3 out of the 4 games in this series, and yet they got swept in 4 games. I got to tell you, Cam, that's pretty hard to do. To have a 90+% win probability in the fourth quarter and still get swept in the series, but somehow the Pacers managed to do it.
You'll talk to Gabe about it in the next segment when he joins us, but we talked about it with you too, Carver, when we said the Pacers screwed up game 1, you screwed up everything. It's one of those situations where Boston, you let them off the hook, you had them, you let them beat you, and then after that, you're like, oh, we knew Boston was going to win the series, but I got to be honest with you, you think the Pacers are going to get a couple. That's what I was thinking, But anyway, that first game, heartbreaking. You got to take care of business when a better team lets you, you got the lead, you got to finish the job. In Indiana, horrible in crunch time.
Horrible in crunch time, that's for sure, and now we send them away. Boston will wait until next Thursday for Game 1 of the NBA Finals, where they're probably going to play the Dallas Mavericks. Now, this has been thrown around so much the last few days, Cam. Everyone's been hit over the head with this. The NBA is obviously the one sport where no one's ever come back from 3-0 in the playoffs to win a series. You had one come close, right? Boston forced the 7th game with Miami a year ago, but they weren't able to finish the job in that 7th game. I'm not totally surprised that the Pacers got swept, Cam. I'm very surprised that as we come back from this long weekend, that this series is 3-0 with a chance for it to end tonight in Dallas. I thought that Minnesota, and these games haven't been blowouts by any stretch, but Luka and Kyrie have been so good in crunch time in the last 5 minutes of these games. That's the difference, Cam, of why they're sitting here on the doorstep tonight ready to advance.
Great call, Carver. Also, too, Anthony Edwards, at the end of games, I know he wants to have it, but he passing the ball to other guys on the team. You got to be the man. I know you're young, but that's the whole thing. You got to want the ball in your hands. Kyrie Irving has been absolutely fantastic. No BS talk, just delivering great layups from all different angles. Luka just laughs at people one-on-one with the step back. He hits it every time. And I'm not going to lie. We tell the truth on SportsGrid. When we hit winners, when we hit losers, I thought Minnesota would win the series in 7. Hell, was I wrong, man. I thought they could actually, after beating Denver, could hang with these guys. They might get one, Carver, but I don't know, man. Down the stretch, they're having a lot of problems late in the fourth quarter when games are tight.
I'm very surprised Edwards didn't shoot more in the fourth quarter the other night in Game 3. He had such a great third quarter. He got them back in the game. And for him to really, distribute, it doesn't help that some of the guys in the Timberwolves, as soon as they get it in their hands, they just fire away. They don't look to move the ball around at all. But I thought Edwards would have took over a little bit more in that fourth quarter. We'll see if he's got to do that tonight to try to get to that 5th game. Then we have the hockey, Cam, which, me and Gabe talk about this a lot, and I'm sure you guys do at night as well, because me and Gabe love stuff like this. Hockey really does themselves a disservice a lot with how they schedule things and how they take advantage of certain positions that they get put in. With the NBA potentially being over tonight for over a week until next Thursday, hockey has 2 series that are both 2-1. Chance for both of them the next couple nights to get to 2-2 with no NBA games potentially in their way. Hockey actually has a chance to take a little center stage here for the next week plus with some really good conference finals.
And the games have been fantastic, too.
Fantastic.
My brother's in town. We're like that Rangers-Florida game going to overtime. I'm like, how the hell the Rangers winning this game with Shesterkin? He's on fire. They don't lose in overtime, this team. The game goes to overtime, you hit live Rangers. It's just, I'm basically a robot now. You're not screwing around with these guys. And as for Edmonton, they look like they have that game. That's the whole thing about the Dallas Stars. They lose the first game, then they come back. You got to put a team away. 2-goal leads mean nothing. And the minute Dallas scored that first goal and then second, I told Moretz, I go, Edmonton's done, bro. They're going to lose this game. And then Stu Skinner led in a weak one. Great series, Carver. I'm on the Stars in this one. I actually have a Stars-Rangers parlay at 24-1 to meet in the Stanley Cup Finals. I told you about my loser one with the Leafs and the Stars, but anyway, the Rangers still alive, and I hedged on Florida because I thought Florida was a better team. The problem is the Rangers have a better goaltender.
I actually have, Cam, since we want to talk about futures that we have in the till, I have a Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Stars, the Dallas double to win both championships. And hopefully we can get them both at least into the final here. The Dallas two-step I have for both of them. So me and Lisi actually both have that. We put that together a while ago. So we're rooting hard for that. Rangers in Florida, game number 4 tonight in Sunrise. Panthers looking to even that series at 2 games apiece. Dallas and Edmonton will play game 4 tomorrow night in Edmonton. We'll, of course, go through that later on as well. We have a full slate of baseball tonight. Everybody plays on a Tuesday. We've got Taters coming up later on. In fact, we do have one doubleheader, Cam, which we'll give you the numbers for here in the first hour at some point. The Mets and the Dodgers, who got washed away yesterday, will play 2 at Citi Field. I've already lined them up, Cam. Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez against Tyler Megill here in the first game of the doubleheader. So let's
like
go.
That one. He's pissed at his Dodgers right now. He's going to have smoke coming out his ears in the next segment, this team. How's that win total doing? They better get on their horse pretty quick. They got to win going like a 17-game win streak.
Let's get some Tater time indeed. So we have a lot to do on a Tuesday. Ferrall Coast to Coast, Carver High and Cam Stewart, and for Scotty. We'll come back, get Gabe in the mix next on the grid right after this.
Missed call the entire game, whether it's a charge or a block or a deflection that was wrong or a foul that should have been called that wasn't called or vice versa. Give me a 48-minute report. And people that will understand that there's so many mistakes that the referees make over the course of the game that referees, ready folks, don't decide the outcome.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Wayne Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
5 minutes, fellas. 5 minutes.
I appreciate it, man. Oh, okay, you getting that bet in before the boom, huh?
Yeah, LA all the way.
What? Oh, come on, man. You know it's Boston, baby.
KG, I understand why you said it, but it's LA.
Jay, are you serious?
You know what? It's LA.
Why are you standing up?
Because it's LA. You know what? You ain't scaring me. Let me tell you something. That
It's
ain't
Boston, Boston, Boston.
It's LA.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here with you on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us. Of course, Gabe Morency's with us every day on C2C. Sports Rage Late Night, weeknights at 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid. Gabe, good to see you as always, my man. Me and Cam were just talking about this, and we love talking NHL, how the schedules and how they screw things up all the time. And they can't screw this up, Gabe. NBA could be out of the way after tonight. They've got 2 great series. The NBA doesn't start till next Thursday, game 1 of the finals. Hockey could be on the stage by themselves with a couple of deep conference finals if these 4 teams continue to play as well as they have the last few days.
Logically, yes, but I'm assuming that right now Bettman and Daly are thinking maybe we should take a week off too. maybe we should, maybe we should go head to head. Listen, the NHL ratings have been pretty good from everything that I've seen in the United States. Canada ratings are always going to kind of be flatline and the same for the most part. But listen, you followed the NHL your entire life. You're in a hockey market, right? But I think you'd be naive. Anybody that's in the sports media industry and the business, because we know, right, over the years you've gotten, listen, nobody cares about hockey, right? I mean, let's be real. A lot of network executives aren't fans of hockey. But hockey's never been, dare I say this, popular, Carver, as far as the media is concerned. Like, it's not just like 50-50 or anything like that. Watch PTI, bro. PK Subban's on more than any NBA analyst is. Like, PK Subban's on the McAfee show. He's on, like, dude, they're getting hockey wall to wall. Pat spends like hours talking about hockey. And he's in Indiana. He's like, oh, by the Pacers, but how about those hockey playoffs? He's got beat writers on, players on from different teams. The media is definitely, and the media doesn't cover things unless they're getting something back from it. They don't do things to help people. Hockey is definitely, the NHL's got a buzz going on right now, and we're going to have a great Stanley Cup final, no matter how it plays out. If you're watching the NBA and you're watching the NHL, and I'm subjective, I go back and forth, Mike, in between years and stuff. It's not always the same. Some years I find college football better than the NFL. Sometimes the NFL, I'm like, what a great year this NFL year is, right? Yeah. I've gone years, bro, where the only hockey I watch is the city I'm in. You know what I mean? And or on Saturday night, because like college football, like Saturday nights, I'm watching college football, bro. I'm not watching. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'll check out what the Canucks are on later, and I'll tune in there. But no, I got money on the Fresno State game, bro. You know what I'm saying? I got a nickel on this. I got a bunch of parlays on that. And basketball, I love the NBA so much. And this is nothing critical against the NBA. I'm not like, oh, the NBA sucks or anything like that. But for me personally, I can't take my eyes off the hockey. Like when I'm, on a nightly basis, like, oh, there's the basketball game. And then, like, even last night, bro, I had way more money on the basketball game than I did the hockey game. But the hockey game, it's just so entertaining. If you're a sports fan, I don't see how you don't like the NHL playoffs.
It's been outstanding so far, that's for sure. Huge comeback from Dallas last night after they got down 2-0 early. Skinner let in a kind of a softie to give Robertson that hat trick. And now the Stars are up 2-1 in that series. We'll play game 4 tonight.
Gotta clutch the post, bro. I was a goalie. Like, I don't want to give goalie lessons here, but like, it's one of those that shouldn't happen. He's made saves. It's not the complete game, but that's just sort of that's kid type stuff. Where it's like, listen, make sure your skate's against the post, make sure your pad is down, make sure you're up against they can't bank it off you into the net, and it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, he hasn't been as bad as people want to make it out because of who he is, but that was a bad one for the Robertson hat trick that gave him the lead last night in the third period. Rangers and Panthers tonight. It was also a bad
idea to pull the goalie with 3 minutes left.
Well,
it was too early.
You know what that is, Gabe? That's the new charts and graphs NHL stuff with how much time you have and who you have out there, McDavid, Draisaitl. It doesn't always work. I brought it up last night. Doesn't always work.
I brought it up last night. The Canucks were down, if you remember, they were down 3-1 to Nashville in a game. And they came back and won. They pulled their goalie with like 3:15 left. And they were down 2 goals. They pulled their goalie. Last night, Edmonton pulled their goalie with essentially 3:03 or whatever it was. It was about 3-minute mark, down 1. And it's too early, bro. Down 2, okay, we're desperate. We don't have a choice. Down 1, especially, it's sort of like you just said. You need to know the situation. I was live on the air, and I brought it up. I said, this is a horrible mistake. I said, Dallas will not try to chip the puck down the ice. They're going to shoot for the net. They got a bunch of veteran dudes. There's enough time. They're not panicked about the face-off. They can win the face-off. And, dude, 3 shots later, they scored in the empty net. Like, you took the opportunity away to win the game, I thought. Pull the goalie with like 1.5 minutes left. They did it, but like you said, the modern analytics say pull the goalie with 3-4 minutes left nowadays. And coaches think 4 is too extreme, so they'll live with the 3.
Yeah, they live by the charts and graphs now, a lot of them. It's just the way that it goes.
It's like football coaches
Florida
with the 2.
Yeah, I know.
Chart,
Get the chart out.
Oh, the chart says
Florida
Panthers
even up tonight with the Rangers.
I don't like the price, though. If you'll notice, this is the biggest price in the playoffs that we've had in weeks. Almost every game is the same point spread, guys, in hockey. Like Edmonton to Dallas tomorrow is the exact damn thing it was last night. 125 and 5.5, right? Like, we know who these teams are. It's set. This just is such a public, like, everybody on Florida, man. It's a little bit scary. But, yes, I think the Panthers win tonight.
Yeah, it's some heavy lumber down there. And listen, the Rangers have been cashing for people when they've been dogs these last couple rounds against Carolina and Florida. We'll see if they can do it
Florida
again.
Florida has 0 home ice advantage.
0. They have 0 whatsoever. We'll come back. Dallas will try to close out Minnesota tonight at home in the NBA. We're back coast to coast. Gabe Morency right after this.
Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you use, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Gabe Morency's with us. Sports Rage late night, weeknights at 10 p.m. East right here on the grid. All right, Gabe, give me the NHL numbers, and then I have to get Dallas, Minnesota with you, and I have something for the Dodgers-Mets doubleheader for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. We've talked a lot about home ice, doesn't really mean very much in the National Hockey League in the playoffs. Teams play better on the road. And quite frankly, we're seeing it in the NBA as well. Home ice, home court doesn't mean as much. But I've got the numbers to back this up, and this is unbelievable. So home teams so far coming into tonight in the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs are 33-42. 9 games under 500, the home team. It's not just like a little bit. This is a dominant statistic. They've only won 44% of the time at home. So road teams have won 56% of the games in the playoffs this year in the NHL. Home teams, goal differential, -10. Home team save percentage, 8.91. How about this one? Home teams have blown 23 leads in the playoffs. Road teams are having their most successful run in the NHL playoffs, Mike, since 1966.
Wow. How about that? And me and Scotty, me and Ferrall talk about this a lot. It just doesn't mean as much as it used to. It just doesn't. And I think I think the only one that still matters is baseball, because there's that built-in advantage of hitting second. I think other than that, it's just not there anymore in any of these stadiums or arenas. It's just not.
I think, there's a lot of different reasons for it, but I think one of the main differences is the luxury of travel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in the old days, it sucked. Like guys were taking charters. They weren't taking charters. They were taking commercial. And, there wasn't, you didn't have a bunch of dietitians. Like the NHL in the 70s was guys having a smoke and a drink. I remember Len Dawson at the Super Bowl. He's got a Coca-Cola and a cigarette at halftime. Like, he's watching the coach. What do you got, coach? Dave Parker, the Pirates, they're smoking cigarettes and having a Coke and stuff. Like, they're more conditioned now. And Harbaugh, my boy Harbaugh, when he was in Michigan, they were a very good road team, the Michigan Wolverines. And they asked them, how do you guys deal with, like, the hostility? You guys go on the road and people calling you cheaters and all this type of stuff? And the kids on the team, he goes, Coach told us just to pretend they're cheering for us. Simple as that, Mike. Hey, you're cheering for me. Simple as that.
That's the way to do it. That's it.
Right?
Sometimes it
Modern
is that
kids
easy.
don't care, bro, where it is, man. Like, it just it doesn't matter, bro. Like, you know what I mean? If we're better than you, we're better than you. Put it in Washington, put it in Michigan, put it in Texas. It doesn't matter.
What do you got? Dallas finished this off tonight against Minnesota. Another sweep in the NBA?
Probably, yeah. I think that Minnesota is going to give their best effort. Let's give them credit. They're showing something just like the Pacers did last night. Credit to the Pacers. They covered 3 to 4 games. But I think Dallas, and I've said this a million times. I've been doing this show for so long, so this comes back to me how many times I've said this over the years. But now that Dallas know that Boston have already punched their ticket, right? They want to get equal rest. They don't want to extend this and go on, and especially risking injury as well. We saw Derek Lively take the knee to the head the other night. Go out there. I do think they do have the killer instinct. And quite frankly, I just don't think Minnesota are good enough right now. They're going to, they'll do the same thing. They'll hang around and they'll lose in the final 5 or 7 minutes. But I am expecting Kyrie and Luka to come out with the killer instinct and do what championship pedigree teams do and don't let the opponent hang around. So, yes, I think the Mavericks finish them off tonight.
Yeah, it sounds like the Mavs are going to get Kleber back, too. He's missed some time since early in the playoffs, so at least they get one guy back in, depending on what happens with Lively. Dodgers have been sliding a little bit here. They got rained out yesterday. They have a doubleheader with the Mets at Citi Field today. Here's what I'm on game 1, Gabe. I'm going big. Ohtani, Teoscar Hernandez, both of them to homer. They're going to whack McGill around here in the first game. I think they'll sweep both games.
It's actually been the hitting, Mike. That has been the problem over this 5-game losing streak. It's not the pitching, even though the Dodgers staff is kind of like tagged together for the most part. It's lack of consistent hitting. The bottom of the order has been a big problem for the Dodgers, but I'm expecting the Dodgers to be in a bad mood today. Let's call a Dodgers sweep, Carver. Let's get it done.
Dodgers sweep, and let's get some taters,
if you're
baby.
out there watching.
Ohtani
I know you love the Mets.
Teoscar. Tater time, Gabe. We'll see you tonight. Sports Rage Late Night, 10 p.m. East, right here on the grid.
parlays against one another, right? And being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back from coast to coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us, of course, every week. It is great to have Smiley Kaufman with us. You can catch the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid, and he's with us every week on C2C as we get ready for this week's event. Of course, the tour will be heading north of the border, the RBC Canadian Open, and we will get into that among some other things here with Smiley. Smiley, good to see you. As always, my man, good to have you back. We do have to start, though, in a bit of a tough way, of course. It was a rough weekend for the PGA Tour, and I know yourself and many other golfers out on the tour who knew Grayson Murray very well, who passed away at age 30 over the weekend. You put some posts out on social media, of course, of your relationship with him. A very, very tough weekend, very sad, Smiley. Your thoughts on Grayson?
Yeah, Mike. I mean, it's a travesty. It's shocking. Everything and any word that fits into that category. Grayson was such a great guy, such a good friend, not only just to me but to so many others. Yes, did he have his issues that he struggled with outwardly for many years? Yes, but did he get through those? Yeah, he did. I would say over this last year, what he's been able to do, just to be able to kind of right the ship and be able to play some of the best golf he's played in his career, getting up to 58th in the world. And I don't think he was done climbing. That's how talented of a player Grayson Murray is. Had a chance to watch him this year win at the Sony Open in Hawaii. And just it's just really sad. You know, I think anytime somebody passes away, you go back to every conversation you've had with them to see if you could see the signs. And it's funny with Grayson, he was always checking in on me. It was never, if it never felt like it was as much the other way, which tells you what type of person Grayson was, and gonna miss him a lot.
Yeah, I remember he gave that big fist pump hitting that when he beat Ben An out in Sony in that playoff back in January, and him at the Masters with his fiance, just at the Wednesday having a great time. Just an unbelievable loss for the tour. Condolences to you, Smiley, and everybody else out there associated with him. We were in Charles Schwab, of course, Colonial this past weekend, and I know I didn't talk to you last week. I definitely didn't have Davis Riley on the bingo card last week when it came to one and done, that's for sure. But we got back to some of the stuff we saw early in the year, right? Kind of a bomb play coming out of nowhere. And he didn't just win, Smiley. I mean, he had a big lead going into Sunday with the number one player of the world playing with him, breathing down his neck, and he just pushed right ahead and got it done.
Hey, Mike, has anybody showed up with the Davis Riley tickets showing off? Because I definitely would have.
I saw a couple tweets. Some people did tweet me a couple, but that's it. Not many, a couple.
Because that would have been impressive. I could have seen it, but I definitely wasn't going to go out on a limb and say, hey, this guy's on the cusp of winning, and not only winning, but playing with Scotty Scheffler on Sunday and taking it to him. So when it comes to Davis Riley, who is he? Well, he's always been a talented player. He's young. He's already won at the Zurich Classic last year with Nick Hardy. But you never really know when a guy wins in the team format because who carried who? We don't know. So with Davis, yes, very talented, but we still haven't seen it, dominant like he was at the Charles Schwab. He's won at every single level, the junior level, the amateur level, the college level, now the professional level multiple times. So with Davis Riley, I think it was surprising, but not shocking. The guy's got probably one of my most favorite golf swings on the PGA Tour. If you haven't seen it, go watch some slow-mos. It's beautiful. His technique is flawless. It looks like Adam Scott in the way in which he swings the golf club. There's a lot of talent there, Mike. We'll see if he's able to kind of build off that.
No doubt. I know he was supposed to play this week, but I saw him withdraw. I think it was either this morning or last night. So I guess, listen, a little celebrating, Smiley. You celebrate a little bit. You don't got to go to up to Hamilton and play in the RBC Canadian Open. And that is where they are going to be heading this week. Now, we kind of broke the dam last year. It had been, 40 years since a Canadian golf, 50 years since a Canadian golfer won this event, and Nick Taylor was able to do it. Now, they don't play at the same track. They move this around. It's at Hamilton this year, which Rory McIlroy won at a few years back. He's won 2 of the last 3 years. And then Taylor beating Tommy Fleetwood in that playoff last year. Are we going Canadian again here, Smiley? Now that it's happened, is Corey Connors going to get it? Adam Hadwin? And any of these other guys going to step up?
I've never bet on this property, but I remember watching it back in 2019 where Rory McIlroy won by 7 shots over Shane Lowry. And the odds are just insane right now when you look at the board. I mean, McIlroy's plus 330. That's just, even Scotty Scheffler hasn't really even seen a number like that this year. As we sit here and look at it around plus 400, but still, that's just insane right now to see the next closest be 1600 and Tommy Fleetwood. This week it's hard for me to say because of the golf course. I'm not crazy familiar with it, but I do really like Shane Lowry this week. He's had a great year. Why not Shane Lowry and a Rory McIlroy duel, the two guys that we saw win the Zurich Classic together? That'd make for some pretty dang good TV as well.
That would be a nice final pairing on Sunday. We get the Irish Bear back in there with his old buddy from a few weeks ago, and see if they can have some fun. It's a weird week too, because you have such a strenuous 3 weeks coming up, right? Memorial, U.S. Open, Travelers Championship, Signature, Major, Signature. What do you make of? We knew Rory wanted to play more golf, obviously, this year, but with such 3 heavy hitter weeks coming up, how about Rory's mindset here in an event that he's played very well at the past few years?
Well, you make a great point. You don't typically see stars play 4 weeks in a row, especially in the summer. But I think winning is so important for a guy like Rory McIlroy, just to have the taste in his mouth. It's like blood in the water for these guys when they get to major championships. Know that they've done it recently. I think Rory showed up with the mindset that he could win at Valhalla, but obviously it was such a shootout that week. I think Roy's just trying to get himself ready for the U.S. Open, and continuing to play seems to be the formula he's been following lately. But we'll see. I'm excited to watch this week. I think the leaderboard's going to be really good. There's plenty of good players playing in this tournament. And you kind of asked the question a little bit earlier: is a Canadian going to get it done? I would probably lean on Mackenzie Hughes as like my favorite of those guys this week. I just love watching this guy putt. But I tell you what, the Canadians have been playing really well. I mean, you got Nick Taylor, Mackenzie Hughes, Taylor Pendress already won this year. Adam Hadwin got tackled last year as Nick Taylor is the defending champions. It'd be tough for me to pick who of those four guys is going to have the best week. But Mackenzie Hughes to me is the guy that I'm kind of circling.
I think Adam Hadwin has to find a way to have a lead on Sunday so that he can tell the security guards to give it back to Nick Taylor if he's watching him on the sideline. Go and give him a spear as he's coming up across. It sounds to me, listening to you, that Shane Lowry would be the one-and-done selection for Smiley Kaufman this week.
I think that's the way I'm going to go. I've already used Rory McIlroy. I think a Mackenzie Hughes could be in the card, but Shane's really got my eye. You know, I really, when I pulled up that 2019 leaderboard, you just like to see guys that have kind of made their way up there. He's a guy I'm looking at, but another player that's had a really nice year, that's had a lot of top tens. It's a good ball striker. If he has a good week with a putter, is I can't get my name or head off of Aaron Rye. He's a guy that nobody talks about, but he's just a guy that keeps stuff in the stat sheet. So look out for Aaron Rye.
He's down to 35-1 now. I saw him at like 50 yesterday, so it looks like people have been going to the window with Aaron Rye over the past 24 hours. That could be a good one. Smiley, we will see you this week on the Smiley Show right here on SportsGrid. Smiley Kaufman wins. We're back coast to coast right after this.
Using the parlays against one another, right? And being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back for Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid at SportsGrid Radio. Great to have everybody with us here today. Great stuff from Smiley Kaufman right there. Of course, tomorrow, Golf Wednesday, we will do the full RBC Heritage Canadian Open, the picks, everything. Cam's with me today. Don't worry. Just because Cam's here today doesn't mean we're gonna cheat you tomorrow and not get Cam. Cam, you imagine the week you miss is the Canadian Open? You think I could have Cam miss the Canadian Open week picks? No shot.
No
shot.
Prime Minister's here. Actually, I'm actually thinking about maybe calling up Babano, friend of the Prime. Hey, Babano, you want to watch some golf on Saturday and get lit? I got to get out to Hamilton. The question is, how do I get back? That's the problem.
I'd love to go. I would love to go up there to any of these courses. I'd love to be up there this weekend, Cam. That's for sure. We will get to a little bit of this later on. And like I said, tomorrow, Golf Wednesday picks, etc. Let's talk about NBA now, Cam. We'll go to the Celtics last night. As we know, sweep away the Indiana Pacers. I gave you that number earlier in the show. 90% plus win probability in 3 out of the 4 games in this series in the fourth quarter, including last night. They had a big lead early in the fourth quarter, but they blow it. We're tied at 102, under a minute to go in this game. Derek White on ESPN sending them home.
Brown on the drive, pulls back, lost the ball, got it back, kicks it out. White, corner 3, bang! Derek White from downtown, Celtics by 3.
And there was I guess it was 45 seconds left in the game, Cam. So Indiana had a couple of opportunities. They even got a stop. They ran out of time. They couldn't get any quality shots. And here's what was kind of surprising to me, Cam, in this whole series of these 4 games. I thought the biggest advantage Indiana had in this series was coaching. I thought that Rick Carlisle over Missoula was a major advantage that Indiana would, if games were close late, we're going to be able to exploit. And guess what, Cam? Couldn't have been further from the truth. I mean, not even close. I was on that assessment because I thought Carlisle did an awful job in all 3 of these melt games that they had in this series. Whether it was game 1, did an awful job not moving the ball up. They had no play. They knocked the ball out. They lost. You had game 3 where he didn't call the timeout with Nebhard running up the court with seconds ticking off. I thought Carlisle was awful, Cam, in the final 2 minutes of these games, and that was a big part of the reason why Indiana lost.
Astute observation, Carver. You're absolutely right. You think he'd outdo Missoula with Carlisle's experience, but they had no plays coming out of timeouts, and that's the problem. And that's the sign. When you do this stuff, why even call a timeout if your play's going to suck? They're all discombobulated. It was brutal, but great call by you. Boston got it done, and Indiana really threw away opportunities in this series. It should have been a lot damn closer than it was, but that's life. Boston moves on, and we'll see, man. If they meet Dallas in the West, I think the Boston Celtics, you beat all these lesser lights in the East, you got to deal with a real team in the West. So we'll see what happens, buddy.
Oh, I'm on Dallas, Cam, and I know that's not just me. I know I'm letting the future do the talking a little bit there. I understand that. If I didn't have the ticket on the Mavericks, I would be backing them now. I'd be jumping in plus 200. I'd be going in on Dallas. I might go in for even more, Cam. Double dip. Take another trip to the window on the Mavericks because I do think that they're going to beat the Celtics if that ends up being the matchup. Jaylen Brown was the MVP of the East Finals. He had 29 points in the closeout game last night. Of course, there was a lot of talk about him the last few days not being named to any of the All-NBA teams. He wasn't named to this team. He wasn't named to that. Here he is last night, Cam. Still seeming, I guess, not that happy, not that thrilled, even though he won the MVP of the East. Here's Jaylen Brown.
I think I'm one of the best two-way wings, guards, whatever you want to say in this game. I thought this year I've taken a level and I've increased it. I took the matchup. I picked up guys full court. I chased guys off screens. I battled with bigs, and I felt like I should have been all defensive. And that probably hurt me the most because that's one of the things that I set out in the season that I wanted to be. But, as time has gone by and I got to this point, I stopped caring. And I just embrace. I don't care who sees what, as long as my team knows my value, my city knows my value, my family. That's all I really care about. But I like to set my hat on just being a versatile two-way wing, and can do both at any point in time. And the last kind of 4 minutes of this game, you saw that.
Wow.
Look, Cam.
Be humble.
I think Jaylen Brown's a really, really good player.
Agreed.
He's completely lying to you right there, telling you that he doesn't care about all this stuff because he's the one who brings it up a lot of the time.
He's just
for him to say he doesn't care about it,
so obviously you care about it. No, you're right.
But the thing is, and I don't blame him. You know what, Cam? He should care about it. That's fine. If that's what's fueling the fire, and is going to help him lead the Celtics to a championship, by all means, go ahead and do it. But don't sit there and say you don't care, because you clearly do care. You're showing that you care.
Great call, Carver. But another thing, too, is it's a team game. You got to worry about everybody else on the team and give them credit, too. You take care of your business, but you're right. You mentioned it off the top. You don't mention something you don't care about, but the bottom line is keep doing what you're doing. Sometimes you need motivation for stuff, as you said, and if it pisses them off and makes them play better, so be it.
Let's hear next from Jason Tatum. Of course, the Celtics, Cam, will be taking, this group, we should say, will be taking their second trip to the NBA Finals. They lost to the Warriors a few years back. Tatum never taken this stuff for granted, loves that they're back with a chance to win a title.
Obviously, going back to the finals, special accomplishment for you guys. Is there a difference? Is it kind of like the same type of emotions? What's that like for you?
It's special, right? Even though we've been there before, most of us have. You don't take it for granted, right? We were excited. It was a hell of a team we just played. They made us earn every single game, and we're extremely grateful to move on to the finals.
You know, they're a very good team, Cam. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that the Celtics aren't as good, because I know there's a lot of people trying to do that. But you are going to hear a lot over the next 10 days until they finally play these games, that they beat Miami without Butler, that they beat Cleveland without Mitchell, that they beat Indiana without Halliburton. Indiana basically threw up all over themselves the end of those games. We'll come back and talk about this a little bit more, Cam. Coast to Coast on a Tuesday. We're back right after this.
Using the parlays against one another, right? And being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on SportsGrid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on SportsGrid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back for Coast to Coast here on a Tuesday. Carver High and Cam Stewart in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Cam, what I was saying there before I got cut off, and I'll let you respond. You're going to hear a lot about this. This is going to be a big talking point that the Celtics didn't beat anybody, that all the teams they played had their best players out for either all or part of the series. And I think you're going to get sick of it by the time they actually play Dallas, as we expect, next Thursday. I think they're very good, Cam, but I don't think that they're at this level that I've seen them, like all these teams with less than 20 losses, like Lakers, Bulls. I don't think they're that kind of elite level team, and I wish somebody would have pushed them a little bit harder in these last couple weeks, but I think they will get that in the finals, especially if it's Luka and Kyrie.
Great point. And another thing is, too, when you see Boston in these games, sure, they blow out teams, Carver, but also when games get tight, they're beating teams that are not as good. Look what Dallas is doing against great teams down the stretch, against the Minnesotas of the world and the Clippers and all the teams that they played. They're the ones who come out hot. Luka prays for the ball. Kyrie now, he hits shots. His layups are like unstoppable. And this team, they're rallying. They're angry. Like, I love the Dallas Mavericks. They're playing with this edge to all the fringe guys. I just think Boston's in trouble because they haven't really played a team like Dallas, and Dallas is battle-tested, and Boston did play teams that had major injuries against them. So advantage Mavericks, in my opinion.
Here's this Rick Carlisle, who I honestly thought got completely. I thought he did a bad job, Cam. I thought he did a bad job in this series. And I get it. The other team was a lot better. This game was inches away. This series was inches away from being 2-2 at the minimum. If this guy could have just made some better decisions. Here's Carlisle.
Well, I look at the process and the level of fight, our situation with personnel, all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's no excuses. I mean, these guys.
You just made some. You said personnel.
Boston has a great team.
Personnel.
They led the league from wire to wire and really ran away with it.
Pump them up.
And look, they're opportunistic. They don't want this thing to go on any longer. Give them credit for the stuff they pulled off at the end of the last two games. They simply made more plays. They blocked shots. They got offensive rebounds. They made key shots. We were unable.
What's he talking about? They were leading in these games. Boston had big leads. They came back against them all the time. They had chances to win down the stretch. So everything he said was basically that's non-truth. That's the best thing. Come on.
The best thing Carlisle said yesterday, Cam, before the game, he told an unbelievable story about Bill Walton. And of course, Bill Walton passed away yesterday. Passed away at 71 from cancer, and yesterday. And Cam, the story that Carlisle told was incredible. He said they were on the 86 Celtics together. He got one of his first dates with his now wife. Bill got him into a Grateful Dead concert in Washington, D.C., told him to bang on the back door and ask for this guy. And it was just a typical story that it had Bill Walton all over it. And I thought that was the coolest thing Carlisle did yesterday, was tell that Bill Walton story, which also absolutely sucks. And I obviously, Cam, know Bill Walton more for his announcing than his playing. I know how great of a player he was, but in my life, it was more of the announcing side of it. Man, is he going to be missed. He was fun with all those games, those late-night college basketball games. Always fun when Walton was on them.
That's the thing. Like, now you have broadcasters. He was a character, too, and he brought in, music and everything else to it. And you don't find people like that with that dynamic personality. Tyrone Nesby, no way. Like, I remember when he was doing, Clipper games. I just sit there and laugh my ass off because Bill Walton was an entertainer and a broadcaster. You don't see him like that anymore. I'm with you, Carver. Rest in peace, buddy. Wicked player, great announcer, cool guy. And what I liked about him, he did it his way. He was a very original person, and nobody you know what? I'm me, so let me be me, and I respect that.
No doubt. That was the best thing about Bill. It was something different. You could listen to the game and still watch the game. It could be a 25-point blowout in a UCLA-USC game at 11:30 at night, and you'd hang in a little bit longer because Bill would tell these crazy stories to Bash during the game or whoever he was working with, and it would be so cool. And I think for guys my age and your age, Cam, it is getting a little undersold. Unbelievable Hall of Fame player, Bill Walton. Unbelievable. Boston, Portland, etc., all over. So rest in peace, Bill Walton. Condolences to him and his family. Frill Coast to Coast. We will come back hour number 2. Cam, we got to start. We got a game starting in about 10 minutes out at Citi Field. Dodgers and the Mets, game 1 of a doubleheader. We'll give you the numbers when we come back on the Grid.